And how are you doing? And welcome to another episode of the Dr. Will Show, where we have the discussions that inform, entertain, and empower educators to be the change. I'm your host, Dr. Will, and I am here with Amber Calderon. How are you doing, Amber?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for asking.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you for being a guest on the show. Now, today's show topic is going digital with Nearpod. Now, this
Thumbs
is
up over here.
Yeah, this is only the second, I guess, show that I've done that actually is sort of based around a tool, but yet we will still talk about blended learning and going digital and working with teachers and all of those things. We are Nearpod District.
Yeah, that's so amazing. That is so great that your school decided to take the plunge. I taught in Central Texas. I'm a former Texas teacher, and we had a district site license, and just the capabilities and the alignment when you have that district license to collaborate with other schools that they're in your district, but you don't see them every day, but you're able to meet together with the hub with your lessons is so powerful. So that's so great to hear.
Awesome, awesome. You hear her. She's so excited. She's jumping the gun with the information.
I know, I can't help it.
Awesome, awesome. So, Amber, for those who are watching the show, will you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Amber Calderon. I am a teacher support specialist for Nearpod. This is a very new position at Nearpod, 2 months to be exact. I work closely with the marketing and the sales team with the main goal of helping teachers integrate Nearpod in their classroom. Like I said before, I'm a former Texas teacher that used Nearpod from the very beginning. So I'm able to provide assistance with integrating Nearpod from a human teacher perspective, whether it's beginner to expert. I'm that friendly point of contact for them. My other roles span to managing the Nearpod Instagram account, follow us at Nearpod Official, and the Nearpod Teacher Facebook group. I also work with the sales team to write cadences for their emails and to copy edit existing emails. My hands are full, but so is my heart. I love Nearpod, the company and their mission. They truly keep the focus that teachers have the hardest and most important job in the world. But as I said, I'm a teacher first. I taught third grade elementary, if you can't tell by the way my voice sounds. So I was saying earlier that seeing all of these teachers go back to their classroom and decorating has definitely been a challenge for me, but hearing about it through the teachers that I'm talking with, helping them integrate technology as they get ready for back to school is helping ease the shift in my role.
Awesome, awesome. So there will be people, hopefully, who will come across my podcast who may not know Nearpod and may not have heard of Nearpod, and they don't know what Nearpod is. And I can't believe, and coming up with these questions, I never ask you, what is Nearpod?
Oh my goodness.
So, because, for me, with my job and, connecting with people like you on Twitter,
yes,
it's easy for us to drink the Kool-Aid that everyone knows what we know.
So true.
So you take for granted, I guess, sort of our experiences. So yes. For those who are new, will you please explain or describe exactly what Nearpod is?
Yeah, so Nearpod is an interactive way to present any type of content to your children, whatever subject it is. It's either an app or it's web-based. The students join in with a code. So you have a lesson that you either created yourself or you downloaded from our lesson library that has lessons from prime publishers like Learn Zillion, Time for Kids. And those, you give the students a code and they join in with this code. So individual student logins are not needed. Once those students join in with the code, all devices are synchronized. And this program platform works on any device with a Wi-Fi connection, which is fabulous. So if you're BYOD, that's not an issue because Android, Apple, we're all compatible. So when the teacher swipes on their device, all of the devices swipe along with them, with that teacher lesson. So you're able to keep that lesson on target. But if somebody offers a question and you want to create a teachable moment, Nearpod has the capability to edit that lesson in real time, which is so important. There are also interactive activities that are embedded within the lesson that you actually can add with the click of a button. And these can span from a digital whiteboard the multiple choice open-ended questions. You can add virtual reality. You can add a slide. The opportunities are endless completely. I mean, I say this time and time again. I used this program for 5 years and it completely changed the way that I taught, and just like technology integration was just a whole other thought. So I'm so excited. If you haven't heard of Nearpod, you are always welcome to email me at amberc@nearpod.com, and I'm more than happy to help you get more information about how to integrate Nearpod in your classroom.
Awesome. So before we dive deeper into the questions that I gave you earlier, there's 2 versions of Nearpod.
Yes.
So you have the free version and you have the enterprise version, which we pay for.
Yes.
Can you explain the differences between the 2?
Yeah. So my first year I taught at a little farm school. And so we did not have the school version, but you're a teacher and I'm just going to make do, you know what I mean? So with the free version, there are some limitations, and that spans from your storage space and your lesson size. So when you have a free version, you may not be able to keep as many lessons in your lesson library or you won't, as a gold version, which is a paid version, or the school or district site license. And so when I moved to another school and I was able to have that district license, I had all of my lessons for the entire year in these lesson library stored in colorful folders, and then I could tweak them year after year. So that was such a huge shift when our school decided to go district or school-wide. The lesson size can also change. So like I always talk about thinking outside of the box with Nearpod. And so by my 5th year using Nearpod, I actually had, so let's say I'm teaching place value for the entire week. I sectioned off one Nearpod and the slide would say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but it was all within that one lesson, which was awesome because Nearpod creates a downloadable report. So I had all the report for the whole week within that one lesson. And with the free version, that's not possible to do as long of a lesson because of the lesson size limitations. The paid version also comes with adding web content because let's be honest, sometimes hearing somebody else talk about a topic in your classroom is better than you talking about it. So if I found a link to Khan Academy or, a song learning how to learn a concept, I would add that link into the Nearpod lesson and the kids could venture off to that. And so that's another version that the paid version has. You can also add virtual reality. So for instance, I taught 3rd grade all subjects. So I like to, again, think outside of the box with using virtual reality. And so if I taught math, I was teaching capacity. I took my kids to a virtual reality trip to a grocery store. And while we were going on the grocery store, enjoying our time there, it was, hey, how would you weigh this item in ounces, pounds, or tons? And just having that conversation, but better than just showing a picture on the screen and then raise your hand. They're exploring. And so, you can go to the Great Barrier Reef and discuss biomes. And so the opportunities are endless with VR. And I'm so glad that there's been such a huge push for that because kids truly need non-traditional forms of teaching, and Nearpod definitely supplies that. With the paid version, you also get access, or when you have a school or district license, if your school integrates with Schoology or Canvas, those are opportunities to embed within those platforms. And then you also have a shared private library, which is so great. So let's say, I taught 3rd grade, and a 4th grade teacher has a lesson on multiplication. It's a little higher level than what I need to teach my 3rd graders, but she kind of already did the work. So I'm going to access it, and then I'm going to tweak it based on the language that I use in my own classroom, but yet we're still semi-aligned. And I think that is such a powerful tool because we always talk about stay in your lane, but you want to keep the conceptual thought streamlined across grade levels, because what if someone's in your class and then they go to the next class and it's so different, you know what I mean? So that helps keep cohesion within now, not just your school, but across other your district and other campuses. So those are just a few. I'd be happy to provide a PDF or, a downloadable PDF that has all of the other features that are available.
Awesome, awesome. And people, you know how I do, and I normally say this at the end of my podcast,
Uh-oh.
but you will be able to in the podcast on the blog post be able to find out how to be able to get connected with Amber online, and that way, all information. If you want to go to her for more information, you want to get connected for the PDF or whatever, all that information will be available to you.
Perfect.
So you are a teacher support specialist with Nearpod. You
Yes.
mentioned earlier some of the things that you're doing, what your job entails, but outside of the relationships with marketing and things, what is the nitty gritty work that you actually do with teachers?
So so let's say a teacher who is not familiar with Nearpod, they fill out some sort of form on the Nearpod website. So if you go to nearpod.com and let's say you go to the lesson library, you want to download a case study, or you look into VR or digital citizenship, which we have 75 plus digital citizenship lessons that are actually the Common Sense Media lessons that we turned interactive. But let's say you're interested in that and you fill out an application just because you want more information. I am now that person that responds to your inquiry. But when I respond, it's just, hey, I'm a former teacher. I love helping teachers. I love the kids. How can I help you integrate technology? And when I say that, this role was truly intended to actually help them. And it's, what specifically do you need and how can I take you on your ed tech journey? Maybe you are not used to integrating technology and you just want to launch one lesson and you just want that support. I am here. I can be your cheerleader. I can help you find lessons. What went wrong, how can we, or what went great, what direction can we take based on what you tried? If you're an expert, how can we combine interactive activities? I'm that brainstorming person for you. So if your best method of contact is email, I'll check up on you. I'll see how you're doing. Hey, last we spoke, you talked about this lesson. Did you launch it? How'd it go? And it's almost like I'm your Nearpod friend. and I love it. I love that, especially now being outside of the classroom. And this is, teacher forever. This is a great way for us to, for Nearpod and teachers to stay connected on a deeper personal level. I also have a closed Nearpod Teachers Facebook group that I add teachers in if their best method of contact is social media. And through that Facebook group, it's very new. Like I said, this role is 2 months, but I started dropping like self-help videos. We have this thing called a scrubber that has different buttons at the bottom. Here's what these scrubber buttons mean. Here's how they help your classroom, or ask me anything. So I'll post an image, ask me anything about Nearpod, and I am actually answering it. Not a robot, it's a human. And so I keep stressing that because as you think about how Nearpod can fit in your classroom, know that this role is here and it's here to support you. So I'm really excited that Nearpod added this role and that I'm the one that's facilitating it.
Awesome. Awesome. I see that you are super excited.
Yeah, I can't help it.
So, with my job to provide professional development with teachers to integrate various tools, programs, software in their classrooms. And one of my criteria, if I'm going to take a tool to a teacher, is how long will it take them to learn it? Because I know that if it takes me 4 hours to master something, that's going to be too much for my teachers.
I agree.
For most of them. So what is the learning curve for teachers in implementing Nearpod into their classroom?
Oh, I am very glad that you asked. So the great thing about Nearpod is that it's super easy to create and launch lessons. Our designers, engineers, and even the content team have listened to teachers' feedback, and they take that into consideration when updating the platform. That said, I honestly think the learning curve is just being able to use technology to present a lesson. Print, copy, cut, and laminating lessons aren't necessary for Nearpod. You create and teach with the click of a button. This includes the highly engaging activities as well. To me, and I've said it, it's truly revolutionary within the education system. And I think teachers just need help to remember that it's available for teachers to spend less time planning and more time teaching. We get busy and, everyone's busy, but teachers, you're working with this child and then your email pops and then you're asked to do this. And so it can be with so many different platforms, it's easy to forget, but like Nearpod can be your hub. And we have so many different resources to help you. Not only is there me, if you go to nearpod.com/resources, we have or just search Nearpod teacher resources. We have videos to help you, just grow with whatever level of technology, from beginner to expert, wherever you span, we have videos to help you with your understanding. And I think having that support already in place really creates a foundation for you to grow with Nearpod.
Awesome. Excuse me. So in saying this, how are teachers using Nearpod as part of their blended learning classroom?
Oh, yes. So this hybrid approach, I maybe kind of touched on it, but I'm not sure. But this hits the question on the head. So I'm so glad you asked. So with Nearpod, teachers can easily shift their role to a facilitator. My favorite quote is, in the classroom, a teacher should never work harder than their students. Adding digital content such as Nearpod doesn't mean throwing direct instruction or throwing out direct instruction in a classroom. Nearpod is adaptable for both direct instruction and blended learning capabilities. For example, launch a Nearpod lesson. So, you launch your lesson to your kids and have a bucket of place value manipulatives on the tables. On the next slide, you ask them to build 357 with the blocks. The students have the clear objective directly in front of them, since everyone has preferential seating with Nearpod. The teacher can walk around and offer support. And now the next slide is to add a picture of their work. But since all devices are synchronized, if you choose to launch a live lesson, there's also self-pace where they complete the lesson at their own pace. But this is if you're doing a live lesson. You're controlling the duration of the lesson. You're able to stay on task. However, if you want to create that teachable moment, we have capabilities to add activities and slides in real time. I've also seen examples such as presenting a reading passage and the kids annotate and offer feedback within the Nearpod lesson as the teacher discusses key reading skills along the way through slides, interactive activities, and they can go back. And this is all, even with your read aloud, maybe you're reading something and you want to take them also to the time period or the location that the book is set in. You can add that virtual reality, because I know teaching at that little farm school, half my kids had never even been to the beach. So if I was reading a book, they're able to feel like they're actually there when we're reading that story and connect with that lesson. And that's just what has made Nearpod, again, truly revolutionary. Nearpod fully supports blended learning, and combined with Nearpod's interactive platform, your classroom will shift dramatically.
Awesome. There were some things that you said that stuck out to me, and I really have seen it in play. Miss Walker, Deshandra Walker, science biology teacher at the high school. I call her my general. She is amazing at a lot of different things, but Nearpod, she is just fantastic. And I have seen her do these lessons in her class, and she uses the collaborate feature.
Yes, it's fantastic.
Yes, and she's doing these lessons, and then she has actually been doing a lesson and seeing from the feedback she's getting from students that they're not quite understanding.
100%. Yes, something. Exactly.
And so what you'll do is throw something in, right? To
adjust your lesson in real time.
To adjust the lesson, right? She'll just pop something in, and now she's moving forward. She's going more, and then again, if she wants to go, okay, let me pop another formative assessment in, just to see. Let me check on understanding. Pops that back in.
Exactly.
And so the lesson keeps flowing and never stops, and students are for sure engaged. She loves, I said, the collaborate feature, and the students love it as well. So when she says, hey, submit a picture that represents something from this biome. And so the kids pop all the pictures, and then she's clicking the like button,
Yes, and what's great too is like, okay, so not even, and for those that are new to Nearpod, the collaborate feature, think of it like a cork board, and people are, and like kids are sticking their sticky notes on this cork board. So I know, like you see on Pinterest, that parking lot where they show what they know. And so this is essentially a digital format of that, but you can ask any question you want. And so that's so powerful because, again, like all the students are collaborating with their ideas. And like going off on what you said, like let's say, you know, you do a digital, we call it the draw it feature, but I'm saying digital whiteboard for the sense of those who don't understand what it is, give them some context. But to me, like Nearpod, it gives every student a voice, whether it's the extroverts or in the front of the class that are always raising their hands, or the introverts in the back that they know the answer, but they don't always want to raise their hand. And so with Nearpod, when you have your device, you can share somebody else's work to every device in the classroom. And now it won't say their name. So you as a teacher can decide whether you want to say, "Ooh, Johnny, I'm so proud of you. Everybody look at Johnny's work. He's truly understanding the material," you know, like, and however you want to praise them. Or maybe if a student doesn't like that, you can, you know, you can say, "Oh, wow, this one was really great. What do y'all think, everyone? I love this." And so with that, even though you don't say the name, they internally know I'm valued, and now they're active learners in the lesson and they can take ownership in that. So I need to meet this this biology teacher. She needs to be a Nearpod certified educator. I need to meet her. We need to connect.
Yes. I met one of your Nearpod people at Mecca at our conference, and
oh wow.
So I need to go through the program as well and become a pioneer. And because it's, you know, it's just an awesome thing, and which leads me to my next question, because, you know, we have an enterprise account, right, for our entire district.
It's amazing.
And one of the aspects of Nearpod that I love, and which is one of the tools that I really like to introduce to teachers, particularly when this is their first time ever sort of teaching with computer technology.
Yes.
In this digital world we live in, is that teachers can take those lessons, those lessons that they've already created, whether in Google Slides or they've done it in PowerPoint, and then they just pop it in to Nearpod, where then, you know, you can add your polls, you can add your multiple choice, your fill in the blank, your essay, your virtual reality, YouTube videos, you know, all of those things can be popped in. And now that sort of stagnant, I'm just going to sit up here and talk for 40 minutes, now becomes a full-on interactive lesson with a lot of different components, you know, that you can do.
Yes. And I just, when you use a Nearpod, and when my administrator would walk into the classroom, I was basically able to clone myself. Like you are able to provide that lesson. And like you said, all you do is you take your lesson, you drop them in, and then it's just all in Nearpod, and you weave those interactive activities in between. And so when you launch that lesson, you're cloning yourself. You're walking around, you're seeing how other kids are working. Maybe one child truly needs more support, but it's really hard to get there, you know, every single time, maybe in a traditional form of teaching. But the other kids are so engaged with that activity that you have, that you are able to be there and support those kids while you're working with those kids that need that teacher support also within the lesson, so they can continue their understanding. So that is a great feature, is the being able to drop in previous lessons.
So it's awesome. And we also are Schoology Enterprise. So being able to pop those lessons in for student-driven lesson. And then about 4 months ago, Nearpod did an LTI integration with Schoology. And so yes. I went in, popped that in. And so now when the teacher goes to add materials, they have the option to click Nearpod and then launch the Nearpod within, whether it be a live lesson or a student driven lesson, which, you know, is awesome as well. So, you know, after I did and I looked at it, I said, "Oh, This is really awesome. Because they can actually build as well, because there's also a new button you can click and actually build from within Schoology. So that was really awesome as well. So you talked about your experiences. What have you heard from other teachers and how they've been using Nearpod?
So Nearpod is not one size fits all, and teachers' comments span greatly because of this. I've been told differentiating for different ability levels in classrooms, whether it's half gifted or English language learners, Nearpod provides simple accommodations. And to give those an example, when you create your lesson, it gets stored in your Nearpod lesson library. So it's, it's there. Well, all you have to do is make a copy. Boom, done. Just make a copy. And then, so what I've heard teachers do is they'll say, they'll call it maybe blue. And that's for one group of kids, and the other one maybe yellow, just because, you don't want a kid like sitting over your shoulder and, seeing the actual terminology, and changing those interactive activities within the lesson. Maybe instead of an open-ended question, you want to do a multiple choice because those kids need more concrete. Or with the slide, you can change the vocabulary words just so it's a little more for those that are, the reading level is not up to grade level. Or for those English language learners, you can add images within your slides within Nearpod. So as you're on the slide feature, you click add image and you just search carrot or, beach, and it will pop up and, it'll populate an image. And so having that already built in and that quick feature without having to completely remake a new lesson and reformat it and then go run to the copy machine and print it. You know what I mean? Like, again, it's just truly revolutionary thinking that even when I first started, it was, whoa, we can do this? My life is so much easier. They also enjoy non-traditional forms of teaching with the virtual reality aspect. Embedding virtual reality makes that lesson pop while still staying aligned to the objective. And I think that's so important. The overall classroom dynamic has now shifted, like we talked earlier, since all devices are synchronized, the flow of the lesson stays on target. Nearpod's truly adaptable. Like I said before, if a teachable moment occurs, they can add an on-the-fly feature, which is exactly what it sounds. They add a slide or an interactive activity to adjust that instruction in real time, which is not as simple of a task with traditional forms of teaching. We talked earlier about those downloadable reports. I know, especially like as an elementary teacher, if I knew a child, and so I taught in Texas, so the terminology may be different, but if I was trying to get them moved to the tiers to get that additional support, maybe from tier, I want to get them from tier 2 to tier 3 because they really need that one-on-one with that specialist. And as a classroom teacher, whatever grade level you are that advocate for those students. Like, you're their school mom, you know what I mean? And so with Nearpod, you can download these reports and have that data to bring to your administrator, have that data to bring to your specialist, have that data to bring to the parent for a parent conference and say, this is what I'm seeing. Here is their actual response. And here's where we would like them to be. And you can save it on a USB, or if you are a paper copy person, you can print it off. You can print it off and file it. It's whatever you prefer. But that capability for teachers has been so powerful because they're spending less time trying to figure out the organizational aspect of documenting because it's already in place for them with Nearpod. And that being an advocate for those kids is so powerful. So those are just a few of the highlights that we've received at Nearpod.
Awesome. So we are blessed to be one-to-one in a lot of different locations in our district.
Wow.
And and the reality is one-to-one is growing and BYOD programs are growing.
Yes.
However, that is not true for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And in those classrooms where not every student has access to a laptop, how can Nearpod be used in a classroom with very few to no devices?
Good, very, very good question. So my last school, I did teach at a one-to-one school. I was very lucky as well. But my first year teaching, I taught at a little farm school. And I felt lucky to have 5 iPads that I had to actually check out, I might add. I heard Nearpod through social media and I dove in head first. So Nearpod can definitely be used for all classrooms, not just one-to-one. So some examples are teachers can launch a self-paced lesson as a center. So let's say you want to review a certain specific concept. So in a center, and if you're in upper grade level, you don't have to think the term center, a group. And so you put that code in one part of the room and the kids go to that area and they launch the code and they work on that lesson at their own pace. They can also launch a live lesson for tutoring or when pulling a small group in class. So there's a group of kids that you either want to extend or you want to strengthen their skill. You just pull those kids and they're working on the iPad with you. Then you just relaunch the lesson with the next group. Nearpod allows you, like I said before, to be in multiple places at once. You can launch a live lesson with one half while the other is applying a previous skill or the current. Interactive activities, let's not forget that we can think, pair, share. Like, let's go back to our traditional, when we were learning how to become teachers and just pair kids up. Students can also join into the lesson together, discuss and complete activities together. Individual student logins are not necessary, which helps eliminate the struggle for not being one-to-one and signing in and out of accounts. Students simply join in with the code. Overall, creative doors open for Nearpod. So I think these are just a few ideas for how those who are not one-to-one can utilize it. And if anybody ever wants to brainstorm and they need someone to get creative, I am always here to help.
Awesome, awesome. So what is your advice for school districts who are interested in utilizing Nearpod as part of their plan for going digital?
So I like to say the 21st century has been around for how many years now? Like what have schools been doing to meet these 21st century skill needs? Our job is to create an education system that is better than the one we grew up in, and we need to embrace what is right in front of us, and that's technology. Nearpod not only allows the ease of creating and downloading interactive, customizable lessons from prime publishers. So again, let's say you go to that lesson library and you see this lesson from ReadWorks or, whoever it is, and you download that lesson and it's not quite what you need, you can customize it to fit the needs of your classroom. And so that is so powerful because you're taking their knowledge, but tweaking it because again, classrooms are not one size fits all. Nearpod gives all students a voice in the process. Each engaging activity is recorded in a downloadable report that is accessible for teachers and admin with the click of a button. So you have high engagement, immediate feedback, and real-time data reporting all within one platform that also integrates with Google Classroom and LMS systems like Schoology and Canvas. If you choose to go district or school-wide, we can have that conversation with you about giving you the Netflix approach of the lesson library. So the thousands of lessons in the lesson library, we can unlock them to become free. So then, because there are some free lessons, but then there are also paid lessons within the lesson library. But when a district decides, hey, we want to go district-wide, how can we access all of the content for free? That's a conversation to have. And that's just another way to make sure that Nearpod is being utilized and you're able to increase collaboration again within your team. Nearpod also sends a trainer to your school to help launch Nearpod, either school or district-wide. Your customer success manager or trainer or whoever goes will show you and your teachers how to access your school or district private library that will enable alignment and collaboration between schools and grade levels. You're constantly supported at Nearpod when you decide to push the educational envelope. We value each and every teacher and administrator. So let's get started.
Awesome, awesome. So before we go, it was sort of mentioned earlier, so I would like for you to speak about the Educator and Pioneer programs. And why would a current Nearpod user, participate?
So if you are thinking, so let's say you've been using Nearpod for quite some time and you just, we have like specific perks, so to speak, for becoming, there's either a Nearpod certified educator or a pioneer. And if you're thinking of becoming a Nearpod certified educator, I'll explain more in just a second, but we have a new person at Nearpod who is growing the community for Nearpod certified educator. So now is the perfect time for you to join. if you're a silver user and you become a Nearpod certified educator, you get 6 months of Nearpod Gold, which is normally $120 a year that some teachers pay out of their pocket. So that is a perk, is getting that 6 months of gold to be able to utilize. You also get invited into a community of Nearpod certified educators where you collaborate and grow with Nearpod. And it's just, you become a part of a community. And I work with teachers in their community when they're like still growing with Nearpod. This is that next step to push you there. So my goal is to help you become so comfortable that you will want to be a Nearpod certified educator. And it's super easy. If you go to the teacher resources page on Nearpod, we have webinars, and this is for anything. So after you listen to this podcast, if you want to learn more, we have live or self-paced webinars, and these span from getting started, create a lesson, digital citizenship, VR in the classroom, and then we even have advanced tips and tricks. So these are live again or self-paced. So you just have to attend one live webinar. You have to create a Nearpod lesson. And if you've already done one before, you're already good to go. With me in my role, when I come across teachers who want to become a certified educator, I tell them to email me or connect with me via my social media. I'm on Twitter at PeppyZestyTeach. And you can send me your link and I'll help you. I'll look at your lesson and kind of provide feedback. That way you're presenting kind of your best work and you're able to collaborate with someone at Nearpod when you submit your application. And you have to teach or launch more than 5 lessons in your classroom. So again, it's an open door to a community of ed tech enthusiasts, and it just helps keep you streamlined with kids' goals in mind. Now, the Nearpod Pioneer is different. There's a new process for that, and basically the way Nearpod Pioneers is you complete an application, and with this role, it's different because you facilitate workshops and professional development on behalf of Nearpod. So let's say you're in Utah and a school or somebody wants help with Nearpod. Our headquarters are based in Miami, but we're also based in San Francisco, but we fly Nearpod people all the time. But let's say, we can't get there, or we are sending a Nearpod customer success manager, but we want somebody else to help us to double team that work. And you're already in that location, you'll join our Nearpod team that day to help us facilitate that workshop. You present at conferences and events, and we've had people at ISTE and the FETC and all these different conferences present on Nearpod's behalf, and then you share your best practices with teachers and school leaders. And this is also a very community tight knit. I see the hashtag Pioneer and on Twitter, and we just added a new cohort of teachers, and all of the pioneers blast everyone, hey, we're so happy for you. And it's just pushing your educational learning with a community of teachers. And so that information is all on the website as well. So if you're interested in a pioneer, you go to nearpod.com/pioneers. And then for the Nearpod certified educator, it's nearpod.com/certified-educator. So
awesome. Thank you again, Amber, for being a guest on the show. As always, people, this podcast is going to be on the YouTube channel. Please subscribe. I'm going to put this on my blog. It's going out on LinkedIn, and you can now, you've always been able to listen to it on SoundCloud, but you can now listen to the podcast on iTunes. I'm going to be putting this out on Twitter, and people, you'll be able to find out how you can connect with Amber, learn more about Nearpod, and hopefully this podcast will be something that spurs your interest in learning more about Nearpod and making things happen for your students in the classroom. Thank you again, Amber, for being a guest on the show.
Of course. I'm glad to be here.
Excellent. As always, people, invest in you, EDU. Peace.